Every firstborn child born on Ezi Market Day shall be sacrificed to me. Zima, I cannot bear to lose this child. Please, you must help me.
Your Majesty, we must not forget the covenant with Ziga. The child born must be sacrificed.
A long time ago, in the serene and mysterious land of Nziga, surrounded by vast waters, stood a giant tree named Ziga. This tree was no ordinary tree, towering high into the skies. Its roots stretched deep beneath the earth. Its branches seemed to touch the heavens. The people of Nziga revered Ziga as their god, a deity they believed controlled the balance of life and prosperity in their land. They had an ancient covenant with Ziga. Every month, they brought offerings of their best farm produce, yams, bananas, and the sweetest cassava roots. In return, Ziga blessed the land with bountiful harvests, kept their waters clean, and protected them from foreign invaders. It was believed that Ziga's eyes could see into the hearts of men and possesses a voice that whispered in the wind. The people lived in awe of their deity, careful never to provoke its wrath. King Busu, the ruler of Nziga, was a man of great wisdom and courage. He had led his people through countless challenges and ensured their peace and prosperity. However, in his palace, a storm brewed in his heart. The king had been married for many years to two beautiful wives, Queen Juma and Queen Atai, yet neither had borne him a son. His daughters were the pride of his heart, graceful and intelligent, but tradition in Ziga dictated that the throne must pass to a male heir. Though King Busu often reassured himself that his daughters were enough, he couldn't shake the unease that gnawed at him. He had heard whispers among the people and courtiers. Who will ascend the throne when he is no more? He has no heir, but King Busu dismissed these thoughts. At least I have children, he told himself. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped into the horizon, the Queen Mother, King Busu's mother, summoned him to her chambers. She was an imposing woman, her presence commanding respect even in her old age. With sharp eyes that seemed to pierce the soul, she sat on her ornate stool and motioned for her son to sit. "My son," she began, her voice steady but heavy with concern. "Do you not see what lies ahead? Do you not hear the whispers in the palace? The throne is in danger of slipping away from our lineage."
Mother,
King Busu replied, his tone weary. "I have daughters."
they are enough. They are the light of my life.
The Queen Mother shook her head. "Enough! Have you forgotten the laws of Nziga? The throne is not yours to pass to a daughter. If you do nothing, the throne will fall into the hands of another family and our lineage will be forgotten. Is that what you want?" Her words struck a chord in the king's heart, but he remained silent, unwilling to admit the fear her words awakened in him. Day after day, the Queen Mother persisted. Each time they met, she spoke of the throne, of legacy, and of what she called his duty to the kingdom. The once quiet whispers in King Busu's mind grew louder, echoing the Queen Mother's words. The weight of his lineage began to feel like a shackle, tightening with every passing moment. One night, the Queen Mother suggested something that made King Busu's blood run cold. "Ziga has blessed this land for centuries," she said, her voice low and conspirational. "Perhaps it's high time he sought its help. Offer it a sacrifice worthy of a prince, and you shall be blessed with an heir." The king recoiled at her words.
Mother, you speak of a dark path. Sacrifice to Ziga has never involved human lives. A covenant forbids it.
The Queen Mother leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. "Desperate times call for desperate measures, my son. Ziga's blessings are limitless. If you do not act, our name will fade into nothingness. Think of the legacy you leave behind." King Busu left her chambers that night with a heavy heart, her words circling in his mind like vultures over a carcass. The throne, the people, his daughters, all were at stake. He began to see reasons in her argument, though his soul trembled at the thought. The storm raged fiercely over the land of Nziga, lightning illuminating the night sky and thunder rumbling like the growl of an angry beast. King Busu and the Queen Mother moved cautiously through the dense forests, their torches flickering against the howling wind. The forest was alive with strange sounds, and the towering trees seemed to lean in closer as if eavesdropping on their mission. The air was thick with tension, and every step they took felt heavier than the last. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a clearing where Ziga stood in all its ominous glory. The massive tree loomed before them. Despite the rain, the area around Ziga was eerily dry, as if the storm dared not touch it. The king and his mother paused, the weight of their mission settling upon them. With a shaky breath, King Busu knelt before the tree, his mother following suit. "Great Ziga," King Busu began, his voice trembling slightly.
Guardian of Nziga, provider of our blessings, I come to you tonight in humility and desperation.
He paused, his heart pounding as he searched for the right words.
I have no son to carry my name, no heir to sit upon the throne after me. I beg you, grant me an heir. Grant me a son, and I will forever be indebted to you.
Before he could continue, the Queen Mother interjected, her voice firm and resolute. "We are willing to do anything," she said, her words cutting through the storm. "Anything, great Ziga, to ensure the legacy of our family." As soon as the words left her mouth, lightning struck the ground near them, and Ziga groaned. The earth trembled beneath their knees, and the tree suddenly came alive. Its branches twisted and stretched like skeletal arms, and its two massive eyes opened, glowing like embers in the darkness. The king and his mother stumbled back in terror, their breaths quick and shallow. They had always revered Ziga, but never in their lives had they seen it move or speak. The glowing eyes bore into them, and the back shifted to form a mouth that emitted a voice like rolling thunder. "I have heard your plea," Ziga said, its voice echoing through the forest. "You desire an heir, a son to continue your lineage. An heir you shall have. But on one condition." The king and the Queen Mother exchanged worried glances, the enormity of their actions dawning upon them. Yet they could not retreat now. They had come too far.
"But on what condition?"
King Busu whispered, barely able to find his voice. Ziga's eyes narrowed, and its voice became a low, rumbling growl. "You ask much of me, mortal king. To grant your desire, there will be a prize, a covenant to be sealed." The Queen Mother, undeterred by fear, leaned forward. "What is your condition, great Ziga?" she asked, her voice steady. "Speak it, and we shall obey." Ziga's branches quivered, and its voice boomed louder than before. "Once the prince is born, every firstborn child born after him on every market day shall be sacrificed to me. Their blood will nourish my roots, and their souls will strengthen my power. This is my prize, nothing else." The king's eyes widened in horror, his mind reeling from the weight of the condition. He shook his head, his voice breaking as he pleaded.
"No, great Ziga, surely there must be another way. Take gold, take land, anything but this. Spare the children of Nziga."
Ziga let out a thunderous growl, silencing him. "The firstborn children or nothing. Your throne, your legacy, your desire, they will all wither and die if you refuse my terms." The Queen Mother, ignoring her son's protests, bowed her head deeply. "We accept, great Ziga. I promise you, my son will keep his word. The covenant shall be honored." The king turned to her in disbelief.
"Mother, no! This is madness. We cannot."
"Silence!" she snapped, her voice sharp as a blade. "The throne must be preserved, Busu. You will see reason in time." Ziga groaned, its eyes glowing brighter as it spoke. "The covenant is sealed. Go now and prepare for what is to come. Your desire shall be granted. But remember, the price must be paid." With that, Zigiza's eyes closed and the tree returned to its stillness. King Busu and the Queen Mother rose to their feet, their bodies trembling with fear and exhaustion. The journey back to the palace was silent, save for the sound of the forest and the occasional clap of thunder in the distance. When they finally reached the palace, King Busu turned to his mother, his voice low and pained.
"You have cursed this land, mother. You have cursed us all."
The Queen Mother placed a hand on his shoulder, her gaze unyielding. "No, my son, I have secured your legacy. The people of Nziga will understand. Sacrifices must be made for the greater good." Weeks after that stormy night in the forest, a wave of excitement swept through the palace of Nziga. News spread that Queen Juma and Queen Ataya were pregnant. The joy that lit up King Busu's face was unmatched. The Queen Mother walked around with a triumphant air, certain that her intervention had brought about the long-awaited heir. The courtiers and palace staff buzzed with prayers and hopes for a prince who would carry on the royal lineage. Could the blessings of Zigiza be so abundant? Could the kingdom truly be on the verge of welcoming not one but two sons in the royal family? Make sure to sit tight as the story unfolds. On a crisp morning, Queen Juma's cries of labor echoed through the palace walls. The midwives scurried about, their movements swift and precise, while the palace inhabitants awaited anxiously outside her chambers. The tension in the air was palpable as courtiers paced. Hours passed before the door creaked open and the chief midwife stepped out. Her face was flushed with exertion. With a broad smile, she announced, "It's a boy," she declared, her voice ringing out like a bell. For a moment, there was stunned silence. Then, the palace erupted in cheers. The celebration was in full swing when another messenger rushed in with astounding news. Queen Atai, too, had gone into labor. The kingdom held its breath as a second birth was announced. "Another boy!" cried the midwife. The people of Nziga danced in the streets as the joyous news spread far and wide. For the first time in generations, the royal family welcomed two sons in one day, and it seemed as though Nziga's prosperity would endure forever. Weeks later, as the Queen Mother strolled through the streets of Nziga, basking in the admiration of her people, a young pregnant woman named Visa approached and greeted her warmly. "Greetings, Queen Mother. May your days be long," Visa said with a bow, her voice filled with respect. The Queen Mother smiled graciously, watching as Visa waddled past. When the woman was out of earshot, the Queen Mother's smile twisted into a sinister grin. "Our sacrifice is almost ripe," she murmured under her breath before continuing on her way. The day Visa gave birth dawned with a heavy air. It was on Ezi Market Day. As her labor pains began, her husband stayed by her side, praying for her safety. The midwife arrived, her hands steady as she guided Visa through the excruciating process. But the moment the baby was born, the door burst open and the king's guards stormed in. Without a word, they snatched the newborn from the midwife's arms. Visa screamed, reaching out for her child, while her husband and other men in the village tried to intervene. Their efforts were futile against the armed guards, who struck down anyone who dared stand in their way. The child was taken deep into the forest, while the desperate cries of its parents faded into the distance. When they reached the towering tree, Zigiza came alive once more. Its massive eyes opened and its gaping mouth yawned wide. With a single gulp, the tree swallowed the child. The sacrifice of Visa's baby marked the beginning of a dark chapter in Nziga's history. Word spread quickly and fear gripped the hearts of newlyweds and expectant mothers. No one wanted to conceive, for giving birth on Ezi Market Day meant the certain death of their child. The joyous sound of children's laughter grew faint in the village of Nziga, replaced by the whispers of dread. If you enjoyed the story and would like to know how the story progressed, please consider subscribing to this channel so that once the next part of this video is being posted, you will be the first to be notified. Till I meet again in my next video, remain blessed.